the agenda is approval of the August 15th minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes from August 15th. Any further discussion?
Yes. The only thing I would say is I see the adjournment at 10:09, and I'm a little concerned about the 20 minutes or more that 3 of the members sat here and talked afterwards. I think that's totally inappropriate and borderline against the law or county meetings rules. And I would hope that would never happen again. And I'm a little disappointed that somebody that brags about open government failed to finish recording afterwards. So we don't really have any record of what went on.
Well, the meeting was adjourned at 10:09. People stay around and talk about things, and unless you have specific things that they talk
If
about,
there's 3 committee members still sitting and talking,
It's a quorum.
that's a quorum.
they could be talking about anything else.
It's still a quorum.
Irrelevant.
So, okay, any further discussion on the minutes?
Could we get more, what was the word for it? In depth in the minutes? I mean, it's pretty basic. It just says, you know, the agenda is things to be discussed about the motion, and it's like just discussed. It doesn't say who brings up the minutes or who brings up the motion stuff. For further reference back to things.
No, she's talking about the minutes.
I thought she said agenda.
Well, it's in, the minutes are in agenda form, and that way, so she wants, what you're asking is for,
More detail, more in depth.
well, remember, it is not a transcript of what's going on.
It doesn't have to be, no.
This is just a quick summary of everything. So, I think what you're saying is you wanna know who made the motion to approve and who made the motion to.
Well, that and among
seconded
other
it.
things, yeah, among other things too. Names, yeah, for future reference. Just stuff I've looked back at since I've been on board, and I can't recall what what was actually discussed. It's just that it was discussed, not who said what the discussions were.
Well, again, this is not a verbal transcript of what went on. We can take a look at that, or Jill can make a note of that.
Because if something would come up legally, a question about something, you have to go back to the minutes and look at it to get the information.
Right,
And if it's not on there, you can't just go by someone's word.
well, but the minutes say protocol discussed, there was nothing, no motion made or seconded.
I'm not talking about just this one, other minutes too, of meetings. More detail.
Okay, so noted, but again, I'll remind you, it's not a transcript, it is a brief summary of the gist of what was said, on that. Okay, any further comments on it? Okay, if not, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carried. Public comment. Public comment?
Yes, I guess. What would the meeting be without public comment for me? I'm just wondering if the board members have looked over my ideas or possible suggestions for shelter renovations and given any more thought to them or to building new. We didn't get a lot of feedback from a lot of the board members 2 meetings ago. And I'm just concerned how many months or years do we kick this down the road? So, I would like to keep improvement projects moving forward, and because I wanna try to solve animal shelter needs or problems, and not be a cause of problems myself, but I would like to push it forward. The architect's, new addition plan shows the back garage storage area divided into 2 rooms. And I'm wondering why not go ahead and improve that area as soon as we could, even if a new addition was eventually agreed upon. I had mentioned about removing the steel on that hallway wall across from the dog adoption room and replacing it with sound dampening insulation and drywall. And that was to reduce the wall shaking and the noise of the barking dogs. And we could add windows at the front of the building and improve the ventilation, remove the garage door and replace it with a regular entry door, and then just leave it open as one big room for now until we figured out, you know, what was happening. Are we doing an addition? How would it be specifically eventually used? That's my main concern. And also I would like to ask again about, I'm sorry I didn't ask Dawn this question, if the large floor cages for moms and kittens could possibly be stacked if you built some kind of a wooden base so that they could be one on top of the other, if that would be bad for the cats and kittens, because there are 3 large ones. I mean, I don't know if you've been to the shelter lately, but there's tons of kittens. It's just overflowing, and there's 3 large cages now to try to deal with those, and yet still have enough room in there for supplies and everything else in the refrigerator, so that's just some suggestions. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Stephanie?
I guess I have a question why volunteers are being turned away on certain days when one employee is working. There was records request done to see if there was any noted issues with these volunteers who were pre-approved in years past. There's no document of there ever being any issues between volunteers and employees documented, and I think it's a semi-slippery slope, seeing as 1 or 2 of the people in question are limited in their ability and are classified legally as disabled, whether that be physically and or mentally. So to deny them to come when there is no record of there being an issue is kind of a red flag to me. And how can you ask for a full-time person when you're turning away volunteers? That's free help. And then I was also informed that a person who was there wanting to do community service was also turned away because of a single employee that prefers to work alone. And it's interesting because in a past meeting, when I believe Phil Undershoots asked about employees being able to flex the time they're there, you said, Terry, that they cannot be there unsupervised. But the records show that there's one employee there on the weekends who is not being supervised, so I guess a lot of inconsistencies. So I guess I'd like to see futuristically if there are issues between volunteers and employees, that it's documented and signed by both parties to keep liabilities and legalities out of things, because that seems pretty discriminatory to me, especially when the people are limited in their abilities. That's all.
Okay, are there any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Okay, we will close public comment. Let's move on to approval of out-of-county travel. Dawn is attending the rabies annual rabies control training in Madison, and the registration fee is $55. And so I'll entertain a motion to approve for out-of-county travel.
I have a question. What is the line?
We do a motion first and then talk about it.
Yeah, we gotta have the motion
Okay,
first. Yeah.
fine.
So you approved it?
I was wondering, is it just a 1-day thing?
Well,
I'm just asking.
I know.
yeah, but
Like I
he
said,
was
we gotta
asking
have
a question, you gotta have a motion and a second first. So the motion has been made, is there a second?
Second.
No, you made the motion.
Oh, well, he started too, didn't you?
I did not.
Okay,
No.
all right.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve out-of-county travel for Dawn on October 16th in Madison. Further discussion?
I was just wondering, is Dawn not entitled to mileage?
Pam, I don't want to email it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could guess, but.
So
I
there
didn't
would be, I
calculate
mean,
it.
along with this, I mean, the motion then should include not only training but mileage when it was determined.
Should include it in everything.
It
should there be a meal with it as well, since she's gonna be there all day.
Google Maps is gonna put you within 5 miles of what it's gonna be round trip, so. And yeah, there should be at least lunch in there.
Well, lunch may be furnished by the training session.
Yeah.
So then that is it's already covered, you cannot double dip.
Well, no, I'm not saying that we were gonna do it, I'm just saying it's a possibility that Donna would have to pay for her own lunch, so I think we should.
The lunch, the reimbursement for food is not very much.
Should we eat at a gas station?
Do you normally get reimbursed for food like when you're on to?
When I was gone for a week, the amount of money that they reimbursed for food, it wasn't even close to what
Right.
it was, so I
But
just,
there is a standard per diem.
yeah, it's like, I don't know what it was, but,
So that would be included on that, I guess.
and they do provide, I think lunch there, so. Hundred and 86 miles
Times two.
times
Oh,
Oh, down.
never mind.
372.
272.
Okay, and,
Well, we put 272 here.
no,
I gotta
you
times
put
it.
372 over here. Yeah.
Does that actually take you to your destination?
So is the motion to include mileage?
$111 and
60 cents?
$111.60.
60.
16660.
Yeah, so it's just like an 8-hour thing, so I think they have a breakfast and then they have a lunch, so I'm not worried about food.
Is that included in the motion?
I would amend my motion to include the mileage for a total of 166.60.
Could she take a county vehicle?
I could, but it's closer for me from my house.
No, okay, yeah,
Otherwise I have to,
come all the way up here and.
or pick it up, the county vehicle and leave my car, and I only have one car, and it's a rental right now, cause I smashed through my, so,
I'll end on my grounds.
so.
So it's 30 cents, the standard reimbursement?
30 cents, I think if you take your own vehicle, if you, or is it,
Or the-
well, I know the it's like 60 some cents a
7.
mile.
But
Yeah.
since you're an employee,
Yeah.
that's a different rate.
Yeah, that's very low, but.
Hey,
My job.
What was the total, 160?
166.60.
Oh, the 55.
Okay, is there any further discussion on?
To approve the original motion first?
No, we'll, because he amended it, we'll just do that all in one. So, motion has been made and seconded for a total of 166.60, and there's no objection to the ones who approved it, made it and seconded it. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried.
So we will flash things for who's making a motion in a second.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is volunteer protocol at animal shelter. So,
I'd like to do a little more research on some things, so could this be tabled or held over till next month?
I will say, can I add something?
yes, we're,
There isn't any protocol that I'm aware of, except for the one,
well, you have the sheets.
but that's not really a protocol, that's just.
Application,
I,
was that updated or, 'cause I know we mentioned that,
That's what was on the computer.
could you bring a Craig, get a copy of that from you?
You can, yeah, I'll have them with me, but I
Oh,
don't
no,
remember.
just,
But
email it to me.
I
it seemed like there was something.
haven't found So I talked to HR and they said the volunteers, each, oh my God, what's the word?
It's my line.
Oh my God, each department or whatever, if they have volunteers, they make their own
Sheet.
yeah, their own
Application.
protocol or whatever, so I couldn't find one, all I found was that sheet, so I'm gonna try to get something, cause we should have a volunteer handbook, and it should have, you know, like rules, what you can do, what you can't do, and things like that, and, I mean, some of that's on that application, but not really.
It's very basic.
It's basically keeping the county safe from any accidents or, you know, liability or
Right.
whatever. So there's not a lot on there, but there's not like, are you allowed to, you know, touch these animals, are you allowed to do this, are you allowed, you know, that should all be, or they have to wear, you know, certain clothes, or
Big long gloves if they're biting the animal or something.
they wouldn't be touching a biting animal. That's obviously one rule, you don't touch biting animals.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Here's what has,
This I redid because I couldn't find a copy. I had to redo the actual, the sheet for when they sign in.
the word protocol was my thing because you had requested to discuss volunteers. I didn't know what you were talking about when you put that, so I had to make up a word. I'm assuming she's going to discuss protocol. So, you know, when you request stuff, you're going to have to
More
give a little detail,
okay.
so, because we gotta put something on it. Also, it's been brought up, the, Americans with Disability Act does not cover volunteers, so it has nothing to do with volunteers, they are not covered under that, so, we put that issue to rest right now.
So you've got the application there, that's where,
Oh, here.
let's take a look at it.
Yeah, so this is basically making it so we're not liable if something does happen, cause obviously they could be working with a kitten and get scratched or bit by a little kitten.
So this is the one you found, or you made this one up?
That's the one I found, that was in, if there's another one, I don't know,
I'm trying to think where it was from though.
was there a different one?
Yeah, there's more to it than this, I believe. I'll dig through my
Well,
papers and
I
see.
just got access to Karen's desktop
Oh,
from
okay.
IT, cause whether anybody understands that, I don't have access to anything that she did on the computer.
They broke into the,
It's a different desktop, so when I got hired, I had my own login,
Hmm.
couldn't get into hers.
Right.
So I asked IT, cause I was looking, I'm like, there's things missing that I can't find, I don't know if they've been scanned, they're not scanned in, there was very little in the animal shelter drive, that's where I found those,
Okay.
in forms, but there wasn't a lot in there, so I have access, and I had a chance to look at it. So I'm gonna go through and see if I can find, so if I can find a different one, but I haven't had a chance, there's a lot of
I'll
stuff.
dig through what I've got at home too, it might have been before that one, maybe, I'm not sure.
It might be, cause I had to make up the sign-in sheets, and I had to make a new community service one, there's also no protocol for community service
Oh,
that I can,
probably should be on that too.
I mean, they're basically doing the same thing, but community service either doing after school, or cause they got in trouble, it's basically the same lines as volunteering, but they have to do it for, they have to do it.
You probably would have to log it
Yes.
for verification.
Yeah, and I know that one volunteer we have, she does her volunteer for a purpose, so she always logs, she has to have copies of hers. Other people, unless they're doing it for school, if they don't log, I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's nice to have, you know, when they come in.
Right.
I think, what you keep in mind also about volunteers is that it's to enhance things at the shelter. Volunteers cannot be there by themselves at all. They have to be supervised at all times, and also, they cannot be ordering staff around or anything like that. They have to, obey, and if they don't, we've heard problems about that in the past, that then they're dismissed. Again, it has to be something that's mutually benefit to the animal shelter. And you have to have somebody with them all the time to watch everything they do and everything, that is not helping, you gotta keep a staff member away to do that. gotta be something that is beneficial and that, they have to know that they have to listen to, well, Dawn or any of the other paid staff are in effect in charge of them. And, you know, so they're not running wild. And it's gotta be, a lot of them, again, to set up a schedule, because I've got stuff in here about volunteering and everything. You can't count on volunteers to do a lot, because they're not getting paid. It's, you know, they may show up, they may not, so you cannot necessarily count on them to show up or to that. So again, they're limited in what they can do, and, you know, some of the stuff, if they just there and want to play with the animals and everything, that may not be beneficial.
I have hours, there are people that do that, that wanna do that.
And
they
socialize them.
They are different, cause I do ask.
Do you have a list of, if somebody would come in and ask, or say, I wanna volunteer, what things you need done, do you have like a written list of
I
that?
do have a list.
Okay.
It's usually, so I created the feline friends and canine companions for people that just wanna come in and, cause the animals do need socialization, so I don't mind that if people just do that. And then some people wanna come in, you know, and help clean or whatever in the morning. So the people that can't come in the morning, we're usually done by, cause we're open or whatever, they can come in for an hour and they can either hang out with the kittens or they can I've had people come in and take the dogs out and take them to the dog park, bathing them and stuff like that, cause those are things that we have a hard time getting to. Walking and bathing and socializing and all that fun stuff, so. But I do have.
But you do have a list though of what things we needed.
Yeah.
I've had people ask in the past,
Well, it's
When
gonna
you're done
end up
out there.
being, I'm gonna have to make an employee handbook. I mean, and then that will include duties of what they can't do, things like that.
would you have that list posted out there, what jobs would need to be done by volunteers?
Yeah, I
So somebody
can.
just came out there to look, to look at animals, see it, they saw the listing of, well, you want somebody to
I'll
come in.
probably get it on the web, it's just, the problem is I don't have a lot of time for those things, cause I've got 60,000 other things to do. I don't have a volunteer coordinator, I'm the volunteer coordinator, I'm not doing a very good job at it. Cause I have, you know, multiple other things to do, so it's very hard to keep track of them, so, but.
Okay, again, the word protocol was mine because I
Okay.
had something. in
Get me a little nervous there.
So anything else about volunteers the board wants to bring up? Question? Okay, let's move on to the next, repeat offenders in the county. And again, the word repeat offenders, there we are.
Well, I was thinking when I saw, I was just thinking, I know Terry, you and I discussed it one time, after so many times of getting an animal picked up, maybe the fine could go up. That's
Does
maybe,
go up.
how much, so I mean, I've seen Kyle Ronings is pretty much the same.
No, well, well, I haven't really had anybody this year that's been a repeat offender, I think, except for one. So, according to the paperwork before I got here, first time is 25, I wanna say second, you charge them 50, third is 75.
Okay.
And then it says fourth is a citation, I don't always follow that citation, cause some people get it
Right
on
away,
their first time depending on what their animal was doing while it was running amok.
that makes sense, yeah.
So, I've given people citations for their first, and some of the citations, the animals aren't even impounded. It's just they're just wreaking havoc.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they don't have to be impounded to get a citation, but I have to have proof that they're out wreaking havoc, if you don't have proof,
Like,
and when the proof pictures,
The actual stuff that.
whatever was
they
going
find.
on, complaint, well, if the complaints don't have proof, that person can go to the court and say, that's not my dog, where's the picture, and then they're off.
And even if there's something that's been chewed up by an animal, you have to prove
You
that it's
gotta
that
have
animal
proof,
that did it. not
because
just
I can
fake
write the
animal.
citation and then it's out of my hands if they go to court and there is no, because when they plead not guilty, I get an email from the court asking for all of my information, my pictures and all that stuff. And if I don't have any of that stuff, they're not gonna be paying that citation.
Right.
More than likely.
They're all free, really.
Right, so you gotta have, you gotta have something the one that's had multiple citations, there's multiple that I haven't had pictures, but because there's so many, and so many but there were so many complaints, I'm hoping that that person didn't get out of those citations.
I'm seeing
But I
that
have, no one's emailed me about them pleading not guilty, so I'm assuming they're paying them.
I'm seeing more people are commenting that they've got cameras out now
Mhm.
for various
Yep.
cats, dogs, raccoons,
Yep.
whatever's coming around, so that helps.
And remember, when she issues, again, a lot of this is at her discretion, and when she issues a citation or a ticket, once she's done that, it's done as far as she's concerned, because
It's in the court system, right, like when
Yep.
cops picking up a druggie, it goes to the courts.
And she cannot do anything more about it, I mean, she doesn't need to follow up on it because it's in the courts.
And I do, you know, I do write a narrative, so in that narrative, I give all of my information, and I will state, I have photographs, or I have this, or I have that.
So that we can hold you if it's needed.
Right, so usually, hopefully by, you know, the narrative, that person will realize, well, I'm not gonna be after this. I think I've only had 3 people, maybe 4, try to get out of their ticket.
Hmm.
And then I just send the information, whether they get out of it or not, I don't have any idea, I just send it along.
Yeah.
And go
Again,
from there.
once it's in the court system, it's all over.
So hopefully,
Have you met the new TA?
no, but I talked to him.
Oh, you have, okay. Cause we have a new DA as of Monday,
So, yeah.
so,
Jack, but that's not his name.
John.
I was putting Jack
Oh.
in the email and I'm like, he's not coming up.
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. Okay, anything else about repeat offenders? Okay, we put this on here again, options for building / remodeling, so that we can discuss it. As far as I know, there's been no further, well, we haven't had practices report yet, but as far as I know, we heard from Joanne, and she had these new cabinets and stuff.
And we got those because when we take the intact nail dogs out in the back, they always lift their legs. Then we
How
have to rewash
sweet.
them. So we got those so that if they lift their leg, they're
They'll
not
just spray
peeing.
back on? They'll get their own stuff back.
You know what intact dogs smell, smells like, you would, okay.
Bad as intact cats.
I mean, if we're gonna do a Band-Aid,
Yes, I was
I-
visiting that day.
I can't, I really can't do anything with the back room unless I have a garage.
Oh, separate, you mean separate.
Yes, because that back room not only houses cats, it has a freezer in it, and it has all of our, food and donations, and those cannot,
We need a place to keep all that stuff.
that stuff cannot go outside in the shed, and we'll have rats.
Oh, yeah. We made it in the garage too.
And when it's winter, you can't even get in those sheds, so the only way to remedy part of that situation is if we actually had a garage that was insulated and heated, that all that food, and even that, freezer, that could go out there. And then that whole back room could be, revamped. But without some sort of a garage, I have nowhere to put all that stuff. There's no room there.
Does anybody come up with any ideas for funding the addition or any new information regarding that? I mean, again, I put this on here so that it's on the agenda so we can discuss it if anything new comes up. As far as I know, suggestions for remodeling and everything, but again, the thing, I guess,
I feel like a garage wouldn't be that expensive, would it? If it was insulated and.
Oh, how big too.
it's not
Single
very
car.
cheap.
Single car or double car, 'cause I mean, no.
Well, you'd have to have,
You're not thinking about putting the truck or your
they would be
van in
nice, you know, how cold it is out there in the winter when you're trying to load up a bunch of cats and dogs.
Well, how much snow you got in there too after a good snowfall?
And they're plow, you know what I mean,
May I say
I mean, it is
something?
what it is, but.
Right.
I think at that other meeting I said that I did ask like Tony Lumber and he suggested maybe 40,000 and that probably would include the cement. But you know, they do make
Point of order.
pre-made ones.
Yeah. So can I engage too, or is it just people who donate thousands of dollars can talk whenever they want? Cause public comment.
Excuse me,
Public comment
that
closed
is
earlier.
very insulting.
That's fine.
And also with calling me mommy dearest on Facebook.
Oh, and your daughter attacks my family every time, so shut the hell
Okay,
up, Joanne.
I won't leave.
Okay, let's get back to the agenda here. We can look
Problem, yeah, be
into
a
more
problem.
things about, garage. That would be one, suggestion.
I mean, it could be a one, if we don't need.
I was just
I
saying,
just,
is the size
half of it needs to be storage, and maybe the other half for, just like in the winter, cause it is tough trudging through all that snow, and, I mean, it's not, you don't have to have it in there, but. But if there's,
Put the freezer and stuff up in the front, you mean, and back half or whatever,
Right.
for the truck.
yeah,
I think that sounds good.
Doesn't, Menards also sell garage
They-
kits?
yeah, yeah, there's quite a few places that do, yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you would go about heating it without that causing, cause it's gonna have to be,
For the
you're
freezer
gonna
and
have,
the
it's
food,
gonna have to
okay.
have electricity and,
So you have to have somebody for slab.
But-
Possibly put radiating slab.
Yep.
maybe, yeah.
Being that that's a wet area out there, you definitely wanna have a slab.
And then those two
Oh,
sheds
sheds,
could get bye-bye.
they're pretty old too. They were both
Then
done
they're hard to get stuff out of, well, the white one's just full of junk,
junk,
that just stuff that's either broken or not being used, or
Oh.
they can't go in the dumpster.
Right.
The red one has, you know, stuff in it too, but it's really hard to get into, because there's no shelving in there, so everything is just
oh,
thrown in there.
thrown,
Yeah,
thrown
I
stack.
mean, something to think about if, you know, the $700,000, it's not gonna happen overnight.
And get shelves in the garage too then.
We have to have bigger shelves where, cause the shelves we have right now in that back room are like this wide.
Oh, wow.
So you're, you know, a 60-pound bag of dog food doesn't really fit on there, so those all are stacked on the floor. The 40, 50-pound bags of litter are stacked on the floor, and then whatever fits on those little shelves, towels, blankets, moist food. is on
Wider,
there.
heavier duty shelves.
Menards also has like, which I bought some myself, I think they're called Gorilla Shell.
Mhm.
It's like modular.
Even our traps and stuff are in that room on top of, so that we don't have to go out and try to find them.
They're a little expensive.
The rain and the snow and the, you know,
Worth it. Yeah.
it's an idea.
Okay, well, why don't we think about that for next month? I mean, think about, you know, possible garage. We've got some options for pricing, and maybe we can check on pricing. Yeah, and have to, again, the thing to remember is where the garage goes, we'd have to make sure that if we ever did an addition, that doesn't get.
Well, the garage you would put on the
On the-
left by impound,
Right,
yeah.
and it wouldn't be on the right side. Right.
So are you
Cause
thinking
it-
like a one car and then plus
Maybe
like an area or two car?
Well, if you had a 2-car, only one side would be for storage, but you would be able to open the garage door,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
That's what you would want, like
I
two cars,
think- I
cause they do
think
make some actually with one door, but then there's like.
Oh,
They're
it
long.
Stands out,
Right.
right, and it's almost like a workshop.
We'd have to kind
Right.
of look at it,
Yeah, okay.
So going east,
where the dumpster is, I would,
Okay.
cause that's
It'd be
is
east.
basically, there's nothing there but our aluminum cans and those 2 sheds.
Right.
Driveway, and then you could have it to where the door goes, you end up right on the slab to where impound is, you know what I mean?
Right.
A little overhang there for some rain or something, I don't know,
Do you need drainage?
Hmm?
Do you need drainage in that?
I don't know, probably,
That whole area is kind of
wet,
marshy.
yeah, swampy.
it's not bad right where the sheds and stuff are, but I don't know, you know.
I was just thinking about, I mean, cause if it's heated, then if you drive a vehicle in there with a crusted in snow and ice, and something,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to,
Or floor drain, or floor drain.
yeah,
Okay,
things to
well,
think about.
why don't we think about that, okay? Let's go on to the monthly animal shelter and the humane officer report.
Okay, so this is a little different than you suggested. So. So I included photos this time because I think it. I did an extra. Oh my goodness.
For you.
Did you want one? No? Okay. Yeah. Oh, you want one? That gives you a little more like, you know, what we got going on. Okay, so there's a total of 76 animals at the animal shelter. 64 of those are cats, all of those are dogs. 12 dogs. Keep in mind, we have 8 dog kennels.
Can those be split in half?
They already are.
Okay.
The problem doing that though is, the state has guidelines for shelters and, boarding facilities on how much space you have to have per size of an animal.
Okay.
So, we have 4 dogs that are over 90 pounds, 80 pounds, 90 to 80 pounds, 100 pounds. They should have a full run,
Bigger.
because if you split that, they're gonna go crazy. We also have, underweight shepherd who's 70 pounds, he should probably be 80 or 90.
That's what that's growing.
Yes. We have a couple other dogs that aren't as big, so those are the ones that are split.
Okay.
But, we are split. We are split. We have no more kennels. Like, there's no more kennels. We cannot split any more kennels. So, that's that. And then, okay, so, cat room 1 has 6 kitties. Those are mostly kittens except for Belladonna, she's an adult, she's the babysitter. Playroom 2, we just got one adopted, so there's 5 in there, those are all kittens. And then the other cat room, that's where that window is, these are all adult cats in single kennels, kitty cat's still in foster. Cat quarantine has 20 cats in there, those range from adult to 6 weeks old, 7 weeks old. Cat drop off has 3 cats in there, which is, we don't like to keep them in there, but they don't have nowhere to go right now, so that's where they are. One of them is leaving today. Squirt's owner died, Squirt is a feral cat, so she's going to a farm. The laundry room has 20 cats in it. 3 of those are adults. The rest of them are, we have kittens that are 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 weeks, another one's like 12 weeks. So there's 3 nursing moms in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no point of it. And then we have pictures of the dog kennel. I'm hoping the one dog that I went and picked up in Shispec is to be cleaned. Somebody says they know where the owner, but they don't know the owner's name and they don't have an address, so.
What kind of dog is that?
He's a American Stafford Terrier, very nice dog. Got lost. And then, yeah, the rest of them.
So again, you said there were 76 animals in total?
76 total,
And how many?
12 dogs, 64 cats.
2 mastiffs.
I have multiple mastiffs.
Where do they all come from?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. Doesn't sound.
Excuse me, may I see?
I can't give you, I can't really tell you where they
I
came
just
from.
need to see.
I think I know what this is.
They're there. There is 4 of them and one of them mixed. The mix is like 40 pounds, the rest of them are very light. Okay, any questions? So what I did, cause people keep asking me questions. Actually, the next things I'm handing you out, but just questions are fine. This is how I keep track of all my stuff, okay? Citations, so you should be able to understand this. This citation report here gets emailed to the sheriff's department every month unless I don't have a new citation. So if I add a new citation to this, they get a new update, so that they can.
With all the previous ones and.
Everything, yeah, so they can, if they have an animal issue, they can look at this and say, did Dawn do something with that, or did Dawn have any idea, or did Dawn have a ticket? So this is the only way that they know if I write a ticket, if they're out, is by my sheet. Or I don't know if they can actually look in and look and see if I wrote a citation, I think that's mostly what the reception is. I don't know if they have access to know if I wrote the ticket or not,
Right.
not 100% sure. But, and I have a list of my 2023, now these are my tracking sheets, they say the location, they say what the citation is for, and then, also on here is if the animals are licensed or not. So, if they're not licensed by October 10th, anyone on here is getting a citation. These are not the same as what goes on at the clerk's office, those are renewals. These are just people who just never had them. I think I have one guy on here that didn't do his renewal, so he's automatically getting a citation. Does that make sense? So here's 2023, because I'm still working on 2023, because people don't like to apply. Any more?
And Jill would like.
Oh, okay. One for each of you. Did you want one? There's that one, and then. This is 2024. And So if I'm dealing with somebody, this is just my little cheat sheet, so that I can just see real quick what's going on, so that I know. So anybody that gets a citation for whatever reason, or a warning letter, they automatically get checked for rabies vaccine and licensing if they haven't gotten it. Some people are really quick and they get them right away, some people just don't. So then I have to either keep sending them warnings or they get a citation, and it's easy, I have to write over 140 citations on October 10th, and that doesn't include any of these. So it's gonna take me probably 2 days to do that.
And those are for
Those are for renewals.
renewals.
Those are people that had them in 2023 that have not renewed for 2024.
That's great.
Anybody on, like I said, there's only one person on here, that is a renewal. Everyone else just doesn't have one, for whatever reason. So, here actually, so, here, let's do warning letters next. So the warning letters are the same thing. Any warning letter that is highlighted in yellow means they have not, gotten their license yet. And yes, I'm behind. Thank you, Andy. More? There you go. Pretty colors, right? So these are warning letters, and it tells you what the warning was for. Anybody that's in blue or white has complied and gotten their animals licensed. Anyone in yellow has not. And all the yellow ones, it says sent final notice, sent final notice. If they do not, get it done, they are getting a citation.
And this is last.
Yes, but there's still, some of these are kind of late, like November, so.
Yeah.
Yes. That's all I'm gonna do, but no worries. Okay. And then, did I give you my 2024?
No.
Okay, and then I got 2024 warning letters as well.
Come on, people, wake up.
So the ones in the orange are not licensed. Or and then I have notes saying that they moved, there are people that move and I have no forwarding addresses, and so then I call dispatch or whoever, and there's nothing, so there's really not a heck of a lot I can do, I don't know where they live, I don't know if they're still in Russ County. Questions?
So the ones in brown or tan,
Those people do not have a dog license.
okay, and blue,
Blue there, yeah, and it says here in my notes.
right.
So anybody that got a warning letter for rabies vaccine and licensing, so pretty much when I started, almost all of these people did not have licenses. So then they call, or if they go over to the clerk's office, they'll let me know that they came in. And then before I do citations, I gotta go in the computer and look everybody up and, you know, I don't wanna give someone a citation if they didn't, but.
I'm just curious, the one from the Thomas Stubbs, do we
Yeah.
know if she actually lives there?
Which one is that?
Um,
Is it 2024?
That's what
2023.
this right here.
This one? Stubbs.
Kate Richard? Let's see.
Is it on the second page?
Yes.
Well, I put on my notes, notice return, no forwarding address,
Right.
so I can't do anything,
I
yeah.
was wondering if she actually is there.
I don't know, I got it returned, sometimes I get things returned, and then so I'll call dispatch and say, hey, do you have an address, and they'll say, that's the last address we have. So,
Tax roll to see it.
yeah, you can look.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I've gotten things returned that people live there, they just don't have a mailbox.
Yeah.
So then I have to either hand deliver or, yeah, I've had that happen. They live there, but there's no mailbox, which is strange, how you're supposed to get your mail.
I get your bills from.
Alright, the next one is all of the rabies quarantines for 2024.
Thank you. Good blanket scratch. Never sharpen this back. Jeez, there's more.
How do you have time to do anything else?
I don't, well, these I just have on my computer, I can just, I update these, so I can just take them off, but. So, if an animal is rabies quarantined, or it doesn't have to be quarantined in the shelter if they're, vaccinated, but I check for licensing. The guy on the bottom, the one that says, no warning letter sent, they did that yesterday, so they are licensed. So this has a list of where the bites happened. Sometimes these are bites, people, you know, go visit their family, they don't live around, their dog bites their kid or something, so anyone, some of these live out of county. Anyone that says no deceased, that means that animal's euthanized after quarantine. The person that did not renew for 2024, if they don't renew by October 10th, they're getting a citation, they're not renewing, and they're already on that list. So,
So the one that was from, 6/24, that had euthanized, did that have rabies or
6/24,
go halfway down the sheet? 24, 7, 07,
oh, no, that dog was just very aggressive,
no,
did not have rabies. It did its quarantine, it was fine,
but it was still too.
it was. Question? One of the last. Yeah, I'm too busy. I'm gonna get to one of the last. Almost days.
I'll get you one.
Last one. Promise.
Oh,
Okay, so these are all my animal complaints from this year, and a couple are gonna, there's one that's traveled over from 2023 because it's still open. If they're open, that means I'm still doing it. Or I'm waiting for another complaint, or I'm waiting, you know, sometimes, if I don't have a complaint for a while, I'll close it. But sometimes if I'm like, I just keep it open so that I can, if I do wanna do something, I have that opportunity to do that.
Oh, you have to open the case again, you mean, or?
Yeah, or I have to, basically start over, so I just keep some of them open just because, and some of them are just people that are just, maybe don't know what they're doing, and they can be helped, or I can correct it, or I can work with them, or, and some of them, I've already done legal things with, and if they don't follow, like the abatement order, if they don't follow what I ask them to follow, I can file criminal charges. The same with a voluntary compliance order. If they don't do what I'm asking them to do, I can file criminal charges. Does that make sense? So I keep it,
Yeah.
because I'm still watching, basically babysit, you know, watching, making sure they're doing what I'm asking them to do.
Which was a wound.
And the one I seized, those, criminal charges have already been filed. So that's an open case until there's charges or not charges.
So I thank you, this takes a lot of work and updates, so I think this should answer our questions about whether she's issuing citations or check.
You see the ones that say in progress, in progress, in progress, in progress, there's actually one, there's another one, so I have, I didn't finish writing that one. That is the one, yes, that's 25. The ones that are in progress means I either have not got there yet, or I have got there, but I haven't had the opportunity to correct anything yet. So any of those are not emergence, like those are not animals that are dying. So the one on 8/28, where I took the dogs, I didn't go in the residence because legally I cannot. That one was more important because those dogs had been left there. And somebody was throwing food and water and whatever, but they can't come in the house like that. But I can't go in there, so.
They were left in the house, people throwing food into the house, Tom?
The girlfriend or whoever, I don't know.
Oh.
But, obviously, if they're not living there, you can't leave your animals there.
Well, yeah.
But it just took a minute for me to figure out who she was, where she was, and how I was getting them out of there, because, legally, the landlord can't let me in. Because it's a rental, and it takes a lot of time in court to, the eviction was Saturday. And then the landlord was like, he had to talk to his lawyer, and I said, well, if you tell her to get a hold of me, please, and give me permission, or send somebody where they can take them out for me, and I will just sign this rent, I'll just get them out of there. And that's what they did. I said, otherwise, you're gonna get charged with something, if I have to get a warrant and go in there, because they can't wait, I can't wait for, you know what I mean? The dogs weren't skinny, they were very healthy, they're a little fat. So they're not skinny, everyone looks good, but it's like, still, you can't leave them in a.
We're being taken care of.
How many animals are there?
Well, in the beginning of it, there were supposedly 12 cats, 2 dogs, but when I got there, there were still 2 dogs and 2 cats. And I think there's one more cat, but I couldn't find it, cause I can't go in the house. And the person's parents went in the house, and she gave them permission to do that, and it wasn't a cat either, so. The landlord knows that there's 1 cat possibly still roaming around, and the village president knows there's 1 cat still roaming
You
around.
said originally it was 12 cats, how did it get down to 2 or 3? Okay.
People may have taken them, nobody's living there, and the cats can get in and out of the house.
Oh, doggy door type thing for the cats?
No window,
Oh, they just left the window open, no screen. Oh boy,
don't ask.
there are all kinds of other critters in there too then.
Oh, I'm sure there's all kinds of things in there.
Were the cats, did they have cages for the cats, or were they just free roaming the house?
Free roaming.
Oh jeez, 12 cats.
So I don't know where the rest went, but,
People keep an eye on it for you?
yeah, so. hopefully, I just told the 15, I told the neighbors, and I told the village president, and then the landlord, you probably just call me, I'll come get it, or you bring it to me. And that way they're not moving around getting pregnant.
So, okay, there's a lot of information here, so why don't you look it over and that, you can see she's been doing a lot of work and doing her job.
That's just
So,
one job.
let's just, look it over and bring any questions back for next time. Okay, anything else under animal shelter humane officer report?
Any questions? I don't really have any.
Okay. Budget review. That. Again, this is the budget through the end of August for this year. Again, most of this we've seen, just running down there, like 313 duplication, we know that was, 313, we know that that's going to be over. I think 339, the training, you're going to put the training that you were just at, or you were going to do that membership subscriptions, or you haven't?
Well, that'll go under training.
Okay, so there'll be a little bit of training, but most of that isn't there. You can see, 343, animal food, we're kind of, there's a lot left, but she's been putting notices on Facebook, right, to get that, we had those starving
Imagine how much it
animals.
would cost to feed all those.
Yeah.
Right.
And 347, animal supplies, again, is there, and 348, animal supplies, again, there's money left in the budget. Again, but that's for the rest of the year. Cleaning supplies, a little bit over. Auto and gas, again, we've talked about that when they run to Neilsville or Eau Claire for a spay, neuter and everything, we may transfer some of that or charge that to spay, neuter fund. So it doesn't hit this budget because that's actually what they're there for. Going down, nothing, that page, unless you've got questions, then for the income, if you, okay, this one you can't do it. It's like, animal shelter receipts, we budgeted 10,000 for the year, and we're just about there, $600 short, so hopefully we'll make the budget count, by the end of the year. The city share, that number is, wrong, because, depending on what's actually done. If you drop down, about halfway down, 4,418, shelter donations, that's when they specifically state that they want this to go to the operations of the shelter. So that's what they've gotten in there. We didn't budget for it because this is really new. Drop down further, you see transfer from the gift fund to $880. We've already talked about that before, because that all has to be approved through us. We've done that. The transfer of dog taxes, the 23,000. Again, last year it ended up being, I believe, 26,000, and next year we probably will make it like 39 or something, because remember we raised the doggy licenses, and that will take effect for next year. For this year, this should be at least 26,000, I would think, when they get it all done, because that's what the actual transfer was last year. So coming down, so it shows it over, but again, we have, we don't have some of the expenses in for that. Any questions on that? Okay, moving on, the next one is the building fund, and again, I don't think there's been any change since last month. We paid out of the 6,500, and that was for the architect for the room addition, we know about that. we've got N62 that's interested on that. So basically, I mean, we have gained roughly, $200, $100. So you can see the fund balance carried forward was 15,008, so that really hasn't changed, this year so far much. The next one is the spay neuter. Again, we budgeted, well, we're practically used up the budget for the expenses, we budgeted 12, we're at 11, and that, and this is through September, so we'll probably go over budget on that. Spay neuter donations, well, we've got in 6,700, so we still get more there. The aluminum cans, so we're gonna get any more aluminum cans this year.
It's got empty, it gets emptied every couple months.
So we'll probably get
Probably
some
one,
more.
maybe one or two more, just depending on
Okay,
who's throwing in there.
What happened with the ones from Rockwell?
I'll bring that up when we do the prints.
Okay.
so if you look at this, so we've spent about 11,500 for, in expenses, and we've gotten in about 8,500, so it's roughly $3,000 down. But again, the beginning fund balance is 30,000, so you can say, and if we end up transferring some of the mileage and everything this year. Going to the next one, is the gift fund. Again, the, for expenses, nothing, I think that's PayPal expenses, 22. There's that $880.22 we've already talked about, you saw it on the other one I got transferred in. They've gotten in about 1,400, almost 1,500. So again, there's about a net gain of about 600, roughly 500. But the fund balance was at 82,000, so you add 500 then, you might get 83,000. Any questions on that for the budget? Okay, next thing on the agenda is review the bills. Do you have any questions on the bills?
Just wonder, what's that 1 year comp domain renewal for Rush County Fair? For 4434?
That's our code, that's our website, I don't know why it says Rush County Fair.
Oh, okay.
That's our website,
Alright, I thought I was wondering what the fair is.
I have no idea why it says that. Maybe I put it in the wrong, well, it's our bill, so I don't know.
The sewer water bill, how is that billed?
Overall, I believe
Yeah.
so, yes.
Okay, any more questions on the bills? Made the motion. Okay, any further discussion on that, everybody? Okay, all those in favor of approving the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Carried. Next thing on the agenda is fracas.
Nothing.
Nothing
Oh.
through,
That's a good report.
I was approached by somebody at Rockwell about the possibility of some volunteers picking up aluminum cans. Apparently they haven't been picked up for a long time, and if they're interested in getting them, it could be a pretty sizable amount. I haven't physically looked at it myself.
We have can donations at Rockwell?
They collect them inside the plant. People that
There's-
drink soda and stuff.
There's a thing out there next to the garage. Michael,
And they can't get them to us, we have to get them.
right order the top.
That's, yeah,
Yeah.
Is there
Go in, like, past the main door, you go up to.
these are some numbers.
It's up on the-
Yeah, I was trying to get a hold
There's
of
like a cage. there
Paula,
that they have them in.
but,
Well, if I can figure out,
yeah, right here, phone number down and I'll
have them call my cell phone and I'll figure out how to get them out of there.
Okay,
Well, she's gonna do
okay, they would probably, you know, even like just make arrangements and do it on a quarterly basis or
Okay.
something
It's usually
like
like a whole truckload.
Okay, nothing else? Okay. Anything else in general here? Okay, our next meeting date will be October 17th at 8:30, I believe that's right. And, yep. That's National Bosses Day. So, okay, something else?
You're not gonna expect that.
Oh, I thought you would.
Boss. Okay, then I'll adjourn the meeting at 9:36. Thank you all for coming. There's another meeting